Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. To our colleagues in the US, good morning, for our first of a series of live webinars focusing on Dynamics 365. In today's session, we'll be focusing on automation testing using Selenium C#, why the need for automation is important within Dynamics. Our Testhouse speakers for today are my colleague Shug Sahadevan, our CEO and founder of Testhouse. And the main presenter today is my colleague Vinu Chandran, who is our technical sales lead for Testhouse, and he's been with us for over 5 years. He is currently focusing on different automation tools and techniques, including Visual Studio Coded UI, Selenium, and other emerging open source technologies. And he also oversees our in-house framework development related to these technologies. He is proficient in the Microsoft ALM solutions and help clients to implement continuous integration and release management process and procedures. He is also a certified TFS administrator. So a few housekeeping for you guys today. You can download our slides today or this afternoon as you wish. The link will be on your screen as we speak. One second, we have a 2-3 second delay. So this is only a listen-only mode. So if you do want to ask questions, please type in your chat window as shown on the screen. We will try and obviously answer all your questions now or during the presentation. But please do type in your questions now or as when Shug and my colleague Vina will do the presentation. So we'll quickly go through the agenda. So for the first two bullet points, my colleague Shug will go through Testhouse intro and overview, and the rest of the presentation will be gone through my colleague Vinu, who will do a demo of the test automation Selenium. We'll show a bit of Testhouse framework unique features, and also go through a bit of the framework evolution. And towards the end, we'll go through Q&A session and ask and when we have time. So without further delay, I now pass you over to my colleague Shug, who will do an introduction to Testhouse.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I say all of that because I think we have attendees from across the globe from various regions, including the US, Middle East, India, and about 90% of them from the UK. For a small or a unique or a focused sort of webinar, we have a fairly large attendee today. So I think in excess of 100 on today. And we welcome all of you, and I'm grateful for you to join us today and taking the interest in sparing the time to listen to us talk about some of our strategic directions and the tools, especially around automation. My name is Shug Sahadevan, and I guess I'm ultimately responsible for Testhouse's actions, successes, and failures. Okay, so if I can just talk about Testhouse for a little bit. Initially, we were founded in 2000, so we've been around for a fairly long time, focusing just purely on testing. And we started in London, and we're based in our headquarters in Docklands in East London. And we have a global reach in terms of offices around the globe to actually serve some of our larger corporate clients who might need systems across the world. As you can see, we have various partnerships, and also one of the key things is the Microsoft partnership. We're an ALM partner as well as a Dynamics partner, and also we have just been approved as an Azure partner. And I will talk about why all these three things come together for our strategic, as a Testhouse strategy, to focus on DevOps for Dynamics. So just need to go to the next slide here. All right, there we go. Basically, just a quick overview about Testhouse's services. I mean, we do things around strategic guidance and consultancy. So people who want to do ALM or people want to look at DevOps, which is flavor of the month at the moment, and everybody is beginning to see the benefit of DevOps. The idea of able to releasing changes straight into production in a quick and efficient way is obviously of significant benefit. You can think about people like Amazon able to release at will, so they can release whenever they want a change without huge worries, whereas some organizations are thinking about planning a release every year or every 2 years. So from there to talk about functional automation, which is something that we're talking about now. We can help people with non-functional testing, predominantly around web and load and performance, or testing and load testing of applications to make sure that systems are performing well, and also other things like security and resilience and sort of data recovery and things like that. So we talk about managed services and functional testing. I think they are standard things, and also the main things around DevOps and tooling around that. So our partnership around Microsoft is quite key to that. So if I go to the next step, I just talk a little bit about why Testhouse. So, why Testhouse? Well, we have been around in testing, and we do a focus on testing. And over the years, we've sort of not branched out, but our area of focus is around the ability to deliver good quality software. So that comes from two things. One is to make sure that the end product is good, i.e. test the software, but also the journey that the application takes from inception, when the business says we want X, to delivery. How does that happen, and the best way of doing that? So we help customers do both of that. And over the years, we've built up various IP and supporting customers that we've seen useful for one customer. We've done it for, and then we find that that's a significant use for various other customers, and we invest time and effort in developing that. One of those being the Dynamics things that we're going to talk about today. So for Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics, we have over the last 3-4 years, it's a strategic direction that we took, that we felt that we should be focusing on Dynamics, and that includes CRM and AX. So over the last 2 years, we've invested a significant amount of resources in terms of time, money, effort in building up our ability to support customers in testing of Dynamics. So that includes roughly around a large set of manual test scripts and test cases for covering both. I think it's about 5,000 or so test cases that we've got to cover manual testing of CRM and AX. We've then automated a subset of those using the various combinations of tools, i.e. whether it's Selenium or Coded UI, or Selenium in Java, or Selenium in C#. And also the ability to performance testing, or execute performance testing for customers to ensure that Dynamics implementation are able to scale, able to respond, and able to respond effectively during the course of the lifetime of that application. And next slide would be around the focus area on Testhouse for Dynamics. As I mentioned, we've invested significant time and effort in doing that. The thing about DevOps for Dynamics is around applying the principles of DevOps into Dynamics, so that people can release Dynamic solutions, whether it's CRM or AX, in a DevOps way, which is automated build, automated deployment, automated approval, automated release, all the way through that. And we are going to be running a series of webinars in where we can help with that. So we've got IP and developed various solutions around Dynamics for DevOps. The other jigsaw to the puzzle would be the Azure element. So we are now an Azure partner, and I mentioned I'll talk about that. So you've got the DevOps methodology using Visual Studio and TFS to do the automated build and deployment, and we're bringing in Azure to build the environments for dev and for test, so that you can create your test environments at will or your dev environments at will and get rid of them when you're finished, so you reduce on your costs. And then finally to release into production. So part of that environment creation would be to do the testing of that. So if you imagine the scenario where you've just done the build and you want to deploy, but before you do that, you want to test it, you create an Azure environment and you put your new created functionality into that environment and you run the automated test. And once that's passed, you go through to approval, and even the approval process could be automated, because you can say, I'm the approver, and if these criteria are met, then I approve for that to go to production. So all of that could be automated and then released into production. So that's where the Azure platform will come in. So with the full solution around DevOps for Dynamics. So we can have customers do that. And the other thing is that we are working on new solutions. We are continuing to evolve. So the idea around automation today is what Vinu will talk about. He spent a long time trying to find and identify the various objects within Dynamics, the child windows, the parent windows, the relationships, so that you can easily identify them. I must say that this is a solution as opposed to a product. So we are providing this as a service, as a solution. So if you have a Dynamics implementation, like most of our customers, they've come along to us and say, we want an automated solution to do this testing. Can you provide? The answer is yes. The other question comes up is, once you do the automation, do we have it? Does the customer have that? The answer is yes. It's owned by the customer. They can run it at their will, but they then require to maintain and support it, and we can help you do that too. Or we can continue to take ownership of it and run it regularly for you as a solution. So it varies differently from a tool, because the tool will require you to do the implementation and the automation. And dare I say it, over the experience of the last 16 years in testing, and 90%, or 90% is probably high, but a large percentage of people buying automated test tools tend to have them as shelfware and not usually use them. So I think I've covered quite a bit about what our solution is around Dynamics, and I really hope that you can enjoy today, and also I hope you can join us on the next one. Is on the DevOps. It's on the 31st of March as another event that I think at the end of it will show you the link to register for that. If you think that's of interest, then please join us for that. And I think from that, was there anything else? I think that's it. So I'll hand it back over to Melanie to take it over to Vinu. Or shall I hand it over to Vinu? Vinu, can you now take over and run with the rest of the presentation?
Sure. Thank you, Shiv. Greetings to all, and welcome to the technical part of the presentation. So let me start with a question, whether automation for Dynamics 365 CRM is really relevant. Automation testing is actually necessary for any application where changes are frequently introduced. A distinct advantage of Dynamics CRM is that it is highly customizable. However, after any customization, we need to make sure nothing is broken or any issues are happening. Automation will help you achieve this, and this is significantly faster than manual verifications. Faster testing provides quicker feedback to developers, which improves productivity and enhances their confidence in subsequent releases. Automating a regression suite can save you a lot of time and effort. And whenever you make use of automation regression suite, you are getting incrementally benefited as well. Important features like business process and workflows in Dynamics 365 CRM can be validated using automation testing packs. CRM 365 keeps updating to the latest version since it is in the cloud, and we need to make sure all your organizational processes are intact even after any update or a new release comes up. So let me move on to the next slide. So now we know that why it is necessary to automate CRM. So let me just get into how we do that. So most of you will be aware of the Selenium tool and its web automation capabilities. Selenium has gained in popularity on account of its open source nature, but many are often confused between the open source and the free software. Well, Selenium is free and open source. Then there can be softwares in market which is free but closed source. So a good example of a free but closed source software will be Visual Studio Community Edition, if you're aware of that. So for this demo, we are using Community Edition for Selenium C# framework. The latest version of Selenium WebDriver is 3.0.1. Unlike in proprietary tools, automation using Selenium eliminates any upfront investment. At a later stage, it starts giving benefits throughout all your regression cycles in terms of time and effort. And through this reduced testing cycle, it maximizes your return of investment. Selenium supports different programming languages, actually bindings in that case. For the demo for today, we have selected C# as the Selenium binding. The scripting platform is Visual Studio, in which we are using Community Edition, that is free. So Visual Studio's capability to actually pull that NuGet packages allows it to use the latest version of Selenium with most modern day browsers. So also Microsoft started supporting Selenium automation in its CI process. By the way, our framework actually supports both Dynamics 365 CRM as well as CRM on-premise. Just in case if somebody of you are already in on-premise condition. And just I explained why it is required to automate, and now just get into how we are designed our framework and what it is having inside. So our framework is based on MS Test. So this is the same technology that Microsoft has used in the design of their coded UI automation tool. So we have developed this framework mainly to address the issues related to control identification in dynamic CRM. The main challenge with CRM automation was identification of dynamic iframes in the parent hierarchy of an object. Just to clarify that, for every automation tool, there is a way of identifying elements for automation. So for every tool, it's necessary that we need to identify that element in a proper hierarchy. So to overcome this challenge, we have created a set of reusable functions and put them together inside a framework. Since a framework is fully developed in-house, we have full control over the functionalities available within it. This is a data-driven framework, so where the test data for the flow will be fetched from an Excel sheet. The test environment related data, such as URLs or your particular configurations, will be taken from an Excel as well, or you can just put into a config file for better integration with the continuous integration systems. So there are two kinds of object repository that we use primarily. So one is maintained in the class files or in the source code itself, and the other one is using Excel files. So the Excel repository is implemented to achieve a very minimal turnaround time for script maintenance. In case of a control change happens, as part of an update or a patch, then all you need to do is you need to just edit the control property in the Excel, and your automation code is maintained. So you don't need to do anything other than that. Continuing with the features of the framework, if you just look at the normal reporting features of Selenium, the default HTML reporting or emailable report looks very minimal, and it won't give you much useful information if you have multiple validations to perform inside a single test script. Hence, we have decided to rework on that. So we have now successfully implemented a graphical reporting. As you can see in the screen, it got a consolidated view, and it got a detailed view of the steps as well. So this allows our framework to give HTML-rich reports which can be shared across your team, and they will understand it better. So generic reusable functions are available in our framework, which is module related, and there are reusable functions related to data reader or reporting or screen capturing, like that, which is readily available. Or you can write your own reusable functions as well. The framework can also cater to page object model. So what I was saying is a module based thing. So if you want your framework to be page object model, then we can do that as well. So in that case, all the repository as well as the reusable functions will be created on basis of the pages that you interact with in application. So let me move on to that evolution part. So how we actually get into this interesting thing of developing a framework for dynamic CRM. The main automation testing challenge that we faced, as I told earlier, was the identification of controls placed in different HTML iframes. So these iframes made automation difficult, as a control identified successfully would fail with no apparent reason during execution. So we then started understanding the reasons behind these issues and created dynamic functions to address this problem. So we started with the Code2A technology initially, and later our Selenium and Selenium, Java as well as C# teams took this idea and created a framework that supports iframe controls as well. So there is a continuous knowledge sharing happening between these teams to bring solutions for common problems, like switching between iframes or identifying the controls inside a iframe, or waiting for a specific control which is inside a specific iframe, like that. So right now we have addressed most of the challenges, and all the frameworks are being continuously improved based on the feedback from the team. Reporting and the execution mechanisms have improved significantly from the initial stages. So we still keep the structure of the framework customizable or editable, because every client has their own requirements to change it. For example, if you want to say like this framework that I'm going to show you is working based on MS test, but we have a similar structure, work based on NUnit. So we have implementations that cover the whole CI process as well. In recent times, when you look at the Microsoft technologies, they started supporting open source technologies more and more. So in previous year, there is a major announcement from Microsoft that the build system is going to be open source, and also Selenium is part of their CI process now. So there is a more inclined towards the open source technologies. So that's why we actually built the framework in an open source technology. But I just want to make sure that you all understand that there is other framework exist in Code2A as well as in Selenium Java. So I hope everyone got the idea of how this framework is and how it is evolved, everything like that. So let me move on to the automation scenario that I'm going to show you. So in that case, it is logging into Dynamics CRM, and then we'll be moving to marketing campaign. We'll be adding a new lead, and then actually navigating to that created lead, qualified that lead as an opportunity, and then close that opportunity as a won scenario, log out of the application. So just to show you how our framework can handle the negative scenario, we have included a negative scenario while trying with the invalid credentials. So let me move on to the demo.
This is a test data for handling end-to-end scenario. So for every parameterized variable in the automation script, there is a column in Excel to pass data into that, and the second row in Excel is a invalid credential. This is for the negative scenario. I'm running the test from Visual Studio. The CRM login page will be launched. The browser is maximized and it will be entering the username and password. Clicking on the sign in button. Now the script will be waiting for CRM application to load. So once the home page is ready, it will be navigating to the marketing module. The home page is getting loaded. So right now the script will be clicking on that sales link, then moving to marketing section, moving to campaigns. As soon as it reaches the campaigns page, it clicked on the new button to move on to a new campaign creation. So once the new campaign page is loaded, it will be entering a few details like campaign name, campaign type, and then a few date values, and then the offer details and cost details as well, and description. So the estimated revenue is added and the status is marked as complete, and then the campaign is saved. So once the campaign is saved, we'll be going to the lead section. We'll be creating a new lead. So in the new lead pop-up, it will be entering all the fields in there. And then it will be clicking on the save button. So once that lead is saved within the campaign, the script will search that newly created lead in the lead section. So it requires few iframe switching. So once it identifies the lead, it clicks on the lead and moves to the lead page. Here we'll be adding a few details in the process ribbon as well as in the summary section, adding like business phone, website, revenue details. So once these details are finished, it will be entering a competitor as well. Right now it will be clicking on the next stage button to move from qualify section to develop section. So once the lead is moved to develop section, it will be an opportunity. So we'll be validating that as well. So here also we'll be entering a few information both in summary as well as in the process ribbon. Then entering customer need, forecast, something like that. Now the script is actually moved that process into propose stage. Here also, after interacting with few controls, it will be entering a phone call as well. So once that task is added, it again clicks on next stage to go to the final stage. So in the final stage, again it will interact with a few controls there. So all this is for just to make sure that our script can interact with different kinds of iframe after every page refresh. So here it is entering close date and revenue, and then it is finishing. So once the opportunity is finished, it click on the close as one button, and then the actual revenue as well as description is added. Then it clicks on OK button. So our positive scenario is completed. Right now the CRM application will be logged out and the browser is closed. Now there will be another instance of browser will be starting. This is for the second execution, second row, data row in Excel. So this is a negative scenario. it will be entering username and wrong password. So when it finds that error, it exits. So here is the results from Selenium. This is most minimal reports. So let me go to the GUI reports where you can get more information. So in reports, there is two views. One is this one, a consolidated view, where you can see all your pass and fail test as well as stepwise result. In the detailed view, you can see what are the validation that I put in the script, every step, as well as a screenshot attached to it. So if you want to see any screenshot in an enlarged view, you can just click on that screenshot icon, and then you can see an enlarged view. If you need to make sure it is working fine, you can do that. And then there is an option to filter the result as well. So based on whether it is a info, pass or something, you can just filter it. And then in the failed case, you might have missed that fail screenshot because the execution was faster. But in automation, you can see actually what happened during that execution. So that's all.
Over to you, Mel. So we can continue with the QA session.
Thank you very much, Vinu, for that presentation. Before we go and move on to the Q&A, Shug will do a brief wrap-up of today's presentation.
Once again, thank you, everybody, for joining us, and I hope it was a useful session for you. We have, as I said, we have invested significantly in what we call the test automation factory in India there. Where there are a team of people who are experts in automation, but also experts in Dynamics, either CRM or AX, and we can automate any of your challenges for you. One of the things that I forgot to mention was that Dynamics 365 will come along, and then the releases for Dynamics 365 will be coming once every 6 months or so. So you have to accept at least, you can only go up to one behind the last release. So you have to be ready for taking on these releases, which means you have to be ready with some good testing sort of ability or resources. So automated testing will definitely benefit you in being able to accept any new releases coming from Dynamics 365. Or any other releases that come along. So that's something strongly recommended. And from our perspective, I'm happy to. I'm going to get shot by some of our team members, but even Vinu. But I'm free to offer a free POC for customers who might be interested in seeing, the solution that we provided against their implementation. And if you give us access to their implementation and tell us the process, then we can automate it for you. Obviously, it's going to be restricted to about one business process. We're happy to provide that as a free POC. I mentioned about the automated build and deployment and the whole solution around DevOps for Dynamics. So continuing on with that, I did mention that there is another webinar on the build and deploy part of our solution for Dynamics on the 31st of March, where we'll be looking at how TFS can be used in conjunction with Dynamics to produce a full continuous integration kind of solution. With that, I stop, and I think Mel will give you the details of that webinar. It's on the 31st of March, or will be provided to you anyway. If if your colleagues or friends who are interested in this solution want a copy of our video of today, I think it's been recorded and we can send that to you. Please again contact Mel for that. And if you want the free POC, please feel free to contact any one of us at Testhouse, including myself, and we can make one of those things happen for you. So I wrap it up there, and I look forward to, I'll be sitting in on the questions and seeing if you can put Vinu under some pressure, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Shug. So I've got a few questions, Titan, as we speak. So let me start on the Q&A now. So first question, why MS Test Framework is used instead of non-it framework? Vinu?
Yeah, if I got it correct, the person might be asking about the MS Test as well as the NUnit, difficulties or the changes that we face in the two framework-related tasks. So, what I want to say here is MS Test is more flexible. I just want to say that. In case of UI testing, NUnit might be more suitable for a unit level kind of testing, but MS Test actually very suitable for a UI testing. And many out-of-box features are there which allows data parameterization as well as the continuous integration, well versed with MS Test. So that's why we kind of give preference to MS Test.
Perfect. Thank you, Vinu. Next question. Can you please specify the browsers on which framework is compatible? Again, to you, Vinu.
Okay. So as per now, what we have is we have Firefox, we have Chrome, IE 10, 11, and Edge tested and working fine. So what we have in our bucket list is Safari and the older versions of IE, which we won't give more preference, but some enterprise applications that will be running in the older version. So we need to expand our framework to address those issues as well. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What are the continuous integration platforms in which this framework is supported?
Okay, so if this question is about the Selenium C# framework, then it can work with any CI integration platform which allows me to actually execute a MS test kind of scenario. So previously we had one complete implementation where we used TFS as our integration tool, and our test script were running as part of the CI process.
Okay, thank you, Vinu. Next question. So regarding the object repository implementation, which one is recommended? Keeping it in the source code or using Excel?
That is up to the client to decide. So whether they can opt for keeping the repository in source code or in Excel, all their wish. But what I wanted to suggest here is if there is a major change happening in your application, or control properties are getting changed for every release or something, I recommend putting those references or control properties in Excel, so that even without any code change, you can get that maintenance done. So that is a good feature. So you can put that in Excel in case of many changes. If you are not caring about the changes, and if your application is more stable, then you can go for the other one.
Okay, perfect. Few more questions for you, Vinu. Can we use Visual Studio even without having an MSDN license?
Yeah, Visual Studio, yes. I mean, without, for this webinar or demo that we used is Community Edition. So for that, you don't require any license at all. But if it's a coded UI platform that you are choosing, then there is a license requirement for the Enterprise Edition.
Okay, thank you. Next question. So this one is for sure. It's about the automation and continuous integration solution from Testhouse. So the question is, so what percentage of manual effort would you say is involved with this?
Yeah, the answer to that is a bit difficult to answer because it's unique to each individual customer. The idea behind continuous integration. We're talking to customers around a particular customer has got releasing 4 releases per year, and they want to improve that to 8 releases a year. That doesn't mean full continuous integration or full DevOps, but it does mean an improvement in the number of releases that they can make. So we look at identifying the low-hanging fruits that we can make improvements to and speed up the process of releases. And then move on to so anything that is repeatable and consistent can be automated, and that's the philosophy, and we can do most of that. So I suggest, it's a very vague answer, but I think the best solution would be to attend the DevOps seminar, the webinar that we're going around on the 31st of March. I think some of those would be answered that. So the manual elements, at the moment, there's a very high percentage. And, if you go for the DevOps, then obviously it will gradually improve to a solution which is fully automatic. But it will take time.
Thank you very much. Next question. So this question is quite a long one. I think this is for Vinu. So how are you checking that everything has finished loading on that page? Are implementation checks to see if there are any active AJAX requests and if there are any elements with a spinner class name? Would you recommend any improvements? Vinu?
Okay, that's a pretty long question, but if I understood it correctly, the person would be checking about whether I'm waiting for all the elements to load in the page or I'm checking a particular element. So as of now, I'm tied my automation script to check for a single element, but I can also check for AJAX load if there is any. I can write my code in that way. Let's say the page is loaded when this AJAX script is completed, and continue from there on.
Perfect. Thank you, Vinu. Next question, how easy it is to maintain this framework for testers who are beginners in C#? Vinu, for you?
Yeah, I mean, with a very minimal training, they can just go ahead with the automation solution, because there is not much C# coding involved. What you want to know is how to identify the controls and how to actually get it as part of a working scenario. So once you learn how to do that, and it will be a very quick KT, and because our framework hides most of the complexities in a different way, you don't need to worry most about how we create it. You can just learn how to use it within a week, maybe, even if you're a beginner in C#.
Okay, thank you, Vinu. We'll take two more questions. So next question, how long does it take to automate the system, which consists of creating a new membership, invoice, refund, payment, credit note? I think definitely, Vinu, that's for you.
Okay, so I cannot just give any direct estimate for the scenarios, because for every scenarios it changes based on the time changes based on the steps as well as the validations that we need to perform. So we that depends on the validations that the client want to perform.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll take this last question. Next, so the last question is, can you start the test from Selenium instead of Visual Studio?
I didn't actually get that question right, but he might be thinking about the Eclipse IDE or Selenium with Java. So as I explained before, we have a framework which uses the Java IDE as well as Selenium, so that is there. But in this case, we use Selenium with C#, so we are starting the execution from Visual Studio. Or if the person actually targeting the CI related queries, like whether I can start my test from a batch file or from from any other mechanism, that is also possible. So
perfect, thank you. That concludes our Q&A session for this afternoon. Just before we go, again, the recording will be available, hopefully latest tomorrow morning. Again, before we go, if you do have any further question for Vinu or for Shug, please do email them. Our Vinu's details are on your screen or on the slide now as we speak. So please, if you have any other questions that you wanted to ask this afternoon, apologies, we're running out of time at the moment with the Q&A. But if you do, please, his email address is there. And if you do want to contact us for anything else, our contact number is also right on your screen. And obviously, before we go, I would like to thank Shug and Vinu for today. And thank you all very much this afternoon for joining us, and hope to see you again at our next live session. As Shug mentioned, it will be topic will be on DevOps for Dynamics CRM or Dynamics 365, and that will be on Friday, the 30th of March, and same time at 12 noon GMT. For more information on how to register, that will be sent out to you the same time when the recording will be sent out automatically. Thank you all very much this afternoon.